Some couples believe you should never go to bed mad, but instead you should try to resolve all your issues. Other couples go to bed mad night after night after night and never circle back to resolve issues at all. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to address a Bible verse often used to promote not going to bed angry, Ephesians 4:26. It says, "Do not let the sun go down on your anger," and tell you what it really is meaning and what a healthy approach to anger and resentment in the marriage actually should look like. That's today on RelationShots. Hey, welcome to RelationShots. If this is your first time hanging out with us, don't forget to download your free guide to intimacy. You'll see that in the description area below. If you need some help in the area of communication in your marriage, I would encourage you to sign up for one of my free live masterclasses I'm doing currently on communication, where I will give you some tips to strengthen communication in just 1 hour that you'll be able to walk away with and apply to your relationship today. You can check out the details in the description area below as well. All right, let's talk about this subject of anger in marriage, and more specifically, what was the Bible verse in Ephesians 4:26 and 27 actually saying? I see a lot of people use this as a proof text to support their belief that they need to talk about everything and address everything and should never go to bed angry because, of course, if you go to bed angry, you are giving the devil a foothold. So here's the verse, and then we'll talk about what it actually means. "In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold." I recently came across somebody on Instagram who posted a video, and he was explaining how, because of this verse, he had made a commitment in his marriage to never go to bed angry, and even if that meant at times that he and his wife would stay up till 3 a.m., go in the bathroom so they're not disturbing the kids who are already in bed, they were going to work things out before they ever went to bed, and he quoted this verse like it was some badge of honor. Now, I've worked with enough couples over the years to know exactly what this approach is going to produce in that marriage. At some point, his wife is going to come to the conclusion that this dude will not let things die and will not let me go to bed unless this is resolved. But also knowing we can't resolve everything, at some point she's going to decide, I just need to smile, nod, and concede because this guy is never going to shut up and I'm never going to get to go to bed. And so instead of doing what he actually is promoting and thinking is going to happen, which is creating an environment where we resolve conflict, what he's going to do is he's going to create an environment in the marriage where at some point his wife is going to have to count the cost of ever bringing up an issue in the relationship to whether she wants to deal with him not letting it go until they feel it's resolved and nobody's no longer angry. And so she's going to get to a place where she either doesn't bring stuff up or she's only going to bring stuff up before noon if she knows it can be resolved within a couple hours. So that is not what you want to produce in this marriage. What is the context of this passage, and what is Paul actually telling us to do? Because staying up all night, making sure that we hash things out, is a terrible approach to marriage. So context. The book of Ephesians, the first 3 chapters, Paul is laying out the theological framework that he wants to lay out for Christians to determine how they walk and live out their calling, which is why he starts chapter 4 with challenging them to walk worthy of their calling because they've been called by Christ. And he talks a little bit about what that looks like in the first 25, 26 verses. Talks about being gentle and being humble and being patient and building each other up. And he's listing all of these things that look like a Christian living out their calling because they've submitted to God. And then in verse 25, he says, "Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body." Basically, he's saying, quit lying and acting like everything's okay with your brothers and sisters when it's not okay. But instead, you may need to speak the truth and speak the truth in love when necessary. And based on what he just told them to do, speak the truth when necessary, you can imagine that speaking the truth to your brothers and sisters at times is going to result in defensiveness and frustration and anger on the part of people, which is why he then goes into verse 26 and 27 saying, be angry. It's okay to have emotions, but don't sin. And don't have a habit of letting the sun go down on your anger, which is basically do not keep suppressing it. So what does this verse not mean? This verse does not mean that we should just go ahead and rush past our anger so that we can be over it and we can just go to bed and not actually process and realize the emotions that we have when there's conflict in relationships. This verse also does not mean that we should stay up all night long hashing out an issue, trying to resolve an issue, no matter how late it gets, because God forbid you let the sun go down on your anger and you go to bed. That's not what it means. What it does mean is that we should not rush past our anger and not deal with it. We should not suppress and bury and ignore our anger, because unchecked anger is going to result in either indifference or indignation in a relationship, right? If you do not deal with being upset and frustration and pain and hurt and anger in a relationship, you have two choices. You're going to be completely indifferent. You know what? I'm just not going to care, because if I don't care, then I won't get angry, and that's not healthy in a relationship. Or indignation, which is I'm going to continue to let this thing build up. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to talk about it. It's going to fester. It's going to create bitterness, and that is not healthy for a relationship. And so what we've got to realize is that unchecked, unprocessed anger can become destructive if we don't deal with it. Now, as it pertains to these verses in Ephesians 4:26 and 27, many scholars believe that Paul is referencing a psalm, Psalm 4:4, which is often called the night prayer, and that's what he's also kind of bringing into context here. And here's what that verse says. Be angry and do not sin. Ponder in your own hearts on your beds and be silent. So don't go to bed angry and self-righteous and just lay there stewing in it, saying as you put your head on a pillow at night, keep your mouth closed because you're probably not in a space to actually talk, and at the same time, evaluate your heart. Check your heart. Why am I angry? Ponder how I'm feeling. Ponder why I'm feeling this way. While I'm keeping my mouth shut and I'm not lashing out, I'm at the same time, I'm checking my own heart, right? So anybody that would tell you that you just need to stay up all night and hash it out because God forbid you go to bed angry is not understanding this verse in context, and also has no understanding of the nervous system or emotional flooding, right? So let's do a quick little neuroscience lesson, even though I'm not a neuroscientist. We have something called the sympathetic system, and that is the thing that is in control of processing danger, threats, and then igniting our fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses, right? And so what happens is the sympathetic system has a job, and if it detects threats or if it detects danger, its job is to get the heart pumping more and more blood because we need to be ready to run or fight. And at the same time that that's happening, the part of the brain that's responsible for rational thinking and self-reflection and conversation is also slowing down. Now, this is good if you need to fight or if you need to run. This is not good if you need to have a logical, rational discussion where you listen to your spouse, you reflect, you talk back to your spouse. None of that is setting you up for a good position to be able to respond. So when you get emotionally flooded, the nervous system has unconsciously pumped a bunch of blood in. You are not going to be able to think rationally. And anybody who has past trauma or has had adverse life experiences is going to tend to get more easily flooded and more easily triggered. And when they're in that place, continuing to hash out and have a conversation about whatever's going on is not going to be productive at all. So in conclusion, what Paul is saying in these verses goes along with the whole passage, which is this is how we walk out our calling. We're gentle, we're patient, we're understanding, we build each other up, we encourage each other. At the same time, we can't just ignore issues relationally. There's times we have to speak the truth to each other when necessary. And when that happens, often there's going to be defensive or anger. And knowing that, don't just let your anger fester and sit there and not be dealt with, experience those things, but at the same time, we got to process them and deal with them so that they don't continue to create bitterness inside of us. That's what Paul is saying in these verses. So, do we want to resolve conflict in relationship? Yes. Do we have to do it tonight before we go to bed, or else somehow we're letting the devil get a foothold? No. When one of you is emotionally flooded or not able to process or tired and it's not going to be productive, sit on it. And like Psalm 4:4 says, as you put your head on the pillow, evaluate your heart, check your heart, ponder why you're angry, process those emotions. All of that will serve you better to actually resolve the issue when you circle back to it. But don't get in the habit of just sitting on it, going to bed, and never circling back, because that's not healthy either. So we may need to ponder it at times. We may need to push pause at times. We may need to go to bed, get up the next day, maybe 2 days later, maybe the next day, come back to it. And with fresh minds and with hearts and emotions that are no longer flooded, we're actually able to talk about and deal with some conflicts in our relationship. That's what Paul's talking about. So don't stay up all night trying to resolve issues. That's not what he's trying to tell you to do. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Drop a comment in the comment section below if you have fallen guilty with trying to stay up all night, or if you realize this just doesn't work for you. Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And until next time, I'll see you right back here on RelationShots.